All right, thank you. Welcome to uh, People's Parliament. Tonight, we'll be taking a look at trending national stories as they affect the Nigerian people. Particularly, we'll be taking a special attention on yesterday's PO declaration on imminent move to the ADC. Of course, you understand there was a space meeting where PO had a complete deliberation with the obedient movement globally, where over 74,000 persons were seen to have joined the Zoom meeting to be in attendance. And we are taking a look at U.S. airstrike in Nigeria. You understand there was a U.S. airstrike, a massive U.S. airstrike at about 01:23 a.m. in Nigeria on Boxing Day, where President Donald Trump was seen to have ordered a massive U.S. airstrike against uh, terrorist hideouts at Sokoto in northwestern Nigeria. And of course, lately, we are having a signal, a revelation by Egyptian-based television station, CBN News, where Turkey was accused of funding terrorism in Nigeria. Particularly, they were accused of supporting Boko Haram with arms and ammunition, as well as all forms of logistics since the year 2009. All through 2014, 2015, Turkey has been accused of funding terrorism in Nigeria. This is a graven allegation, and we look forward to how the Turkish government intend to, prove their innocence on this matter. And we're also taking a look at the 2026 tax law that have been so gazetted by Tinubu-led administration. Of course, there have been complaint across the legislative arm of government, where a lawmaker was seen to have raised the allegation that Tinubu gazetted law of the tax law that was gazetted is different from the bill that was passed into law by the lawmakers. And this is, of course, it has amounted to perjury. And of course, it's treasonable that the entire House of Assembly will pass a bill into law, and Tinubu-led federal government executive arm will go unilaterally to make amends to what has been passed by the lawmakers. This shows lack of respect for the rule of law. It shows an abuse of power. It shows criminality. It's perjury of the highest order, and it's treasonable. Of course, the president has committed treasonable offense, and we look forward to his arrest and prosecution. He should be made to face trial, of course, and if he failed to prove his innocence on this matter, we expect the law to take its course, because at that level, you are expected to be the number one law the number one law adherents. You should be seen to obey the law, and so that other citizens can follow suit. But in a situation where the president is the chief lawbreaker, how do you expect the citizen, for instance, to adhere to this law and keep the rules and regulation as enshrined in Nigerian constitution? So let's start with the U.S. airstrike. In particular, the U.S. airstrike is a direct indictment of the Nigerian government failure, as you cannot afford to convince me, and of course, the suffering masses, that since the year 2009, you've been fighting terrorism endlessly. And Nigeria has not been able to move forward in making a progressive impact on the lives of the citizens, because over half of Nigerian budget has been dedicated to to security instead of productivity. So this has largely affected the Nigerian populace. It has affected the standard of living. It has affected the ability of the average masses to cope and live a life that is worthy of carrying on. So this has, of course, compounded the suffering of the masses. You can see massive hunger. This huge amount of money that has been dedicated to security should have been very, very useful if these funds were used for the development of the country, taking people out of poverty, investing in schools, investing in hospitals, investing in the general infrastructure that will promote the well-being of the masses. At this age and time, Nigeria cannot even boast of electricity. Nigeria cannot boast of regular water supply. Nigeria cannot even afford to boast of even 1 hour of uninterrupted power supply. This has, of course, hampered the development of Nigeria as a country, because industrialization cannot take place when there is no power. There cannot be productivity, and of course, this has led to massive unemployment among the youths, which, of course, in the long run, continue to fuel the insecurity that is largely affecting the country. It is on this note that we are indicting the federal government led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration to have failed massively in all fronts, because the number one priority of any single government is, of course, to provide security. If you are seen to be unable to provide security of lives and property, of course, that is massive failure on its own. So for it to take the intervention of U.S. government all the way from the United States of America to listen and attend to the yearnings of the Nigerian people who have been calling for the U.S. intervention, given the massive failure and complicity of Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led administration that have been seen to be compromising with the terrorists and aiding and abetting the activities of these terror groups. As a matter of fact, in so many number of times, Nigerian security forces have been accused of supporting or providing the safe haven for these terrorists to thrive. You recall the MAGA incidents where the state governor of Katsina, of Kebbi State, asked a very critical question as to who ordered the military men that were on guard, who ordered them to leave that spot before the MAGA adoption took place. And previously, we had another ugly incident at Papiri, where over 315 school kids were kidnapped. They were later released a few weeks ago. So all this corroborate the fact that there has been huge complicity on the part of the Nigerian government, who have not proven to stand their foot and ensure that this insecurity is brought to a conclusive end. How can a country continue to fight terror for over a decade without making progress? As we speak, previously during the Jonathan-led administration, of course, we understand there were bombings by these suicide bombers, but it never really, extended to the Middle Belton region, where Benue is on fire, Plateau is on fire, Niger is on fire, Kwara State also on fire by these terrorists who have taken over half of LGAs in these states. It's so sad that yet the state government in this state, there is federal government who are claiming to be on top of the situation. Yet we continue to witness daily escalation of this insecurity and terrorism. And of course, it has even graduated to genocide, where a particular set of people have been targeted on grounds of their faith, religious belief, particularly the Christian population, where Christian communities are repeatedly, systematically being targeted and are being denied access to their ancestral land by these terrorists. And of course, the Nigerian army have not proven to be on top of the situation by attending or responding accordingly to restore peace and order in this community by chasing after these terrorists and bringing them to book or justice. That has not seemed to happen in number of communities in Benue State, for instance, in Niger. It's appalling to note that in Shiroro, in particular in Niger State, out of the 15 wards, 10 are already captured by terrorists. And of course, everybody seems to be moving on. And the number of persons that are internally displaced in this LG are not just Shiroro alone. Rafi is facing the same challenges. And of course, Kotangora and neighboring LGAs are also facing similar fate where people can no more sleep in these rural communities. They cannot even sleep with their two eyes open without the fear of being attacked by terrorists. And it's really troubling. It's troubling, and we don't understand how this government intends to manage and end these all forms of terrorism. Gladly, President Donald Trump has made it as part of his campaign promise, and he is really living up to the expectation. Recently, there was an airstrike that targeted the enclaves of these terrorists in Sokoto. According to intelligence, they were holding a meeting on how to commence their Christian genocide attack against Christian communities before they were wiped out by the airstrike. And I want to commend President Donald Trump for keeping to his promise of standing for religious freedom in every part of the world. I also want to take note of the tax regime that, of course, have come under question heavily because the tax regime has been seen to be something that is not auguring well, not being accepted or admonished by the Nigerian population, because the tax regime is against the welfareism of the Nigerian people. Because how can you tax a country that is grossly poor and unable to meet up with her, her responsibility? A lot of Nigerian people at this point cannot even afford to eat. The only time you'll be able to tax a population is when the people are equitably employed. When the people are employed and there is productivity in the economy, of course, the idea of tax cannot come in. But as it is in Nigeria, over 80% of the Nigerian population are either unemployed or underemployed. And in this instance, how do you now tax an unemployed population? Of course, it's an invitation to chaos. Then the Turkish government has been fingered for sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria, particularly. It was specified that they've been supplying arms and ammunition to Boko Haram since 2014. So this is a very grave allegation. We want to understand the role of the DSS, the role of the Nigerian military, the role of the NIA to be able to clarify and provide a very clear investigation on this matter. It's a grave allegation that there is a country that is supporting terrorism in Nigeria, yet the Nigerian government has not seemed to move a muscle. Rather, it was reported lately after the US airstrike where Gumi was inviting, was of the opinion that the Nigerian government, instead of partnering with the US to carry out the heinous attack against terrorists in Nigeria, that they should rather be seen to go into terms with Turkey and other uh, Asian countries. He even mentioned Russia, that they are of better partners to Nigeria instead of partnering with the US. So what does that entail? Just in less than 72 hours already, we can see that the reason why Gumi is finding comfort in Turkey has been revealed, because Turkey has been fingered to have sponsored terrorism in Nigeria since 2014 by supplying Boko Haram with logistics. And with the call that is increasing call that is now coming in, that the U.S. government should establish their military base in the southeastern part of Nigeria. This is now troubling because with this type of news coming up that Turkish government has been supplying arms to Boko Haram in Nigeria, this will now affect the 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 peace and tranquility of the entire country, because it will not be able to be of a progressive front for the Nigerian government, because until when there is peace, there can be no governance. And as it is now, how can the people even trust the government to stand in for peace? They have been accused of complicity, they have been accused of supporting terror in Nigeria, and this is just the reality on ground. Well, on this note, I want to appreciate everyone, and of course, congratulations to Somaliland. Somaliland has been endorsed and recognized by the one of the major world power, which is Israel. Israel has recognized Somaliland as an independent country. It's on record that Somaliland initially gained independence in 1960, June to be precise, but they chose to, I mean, they chose to be under the Somalia government in order to have a unity government in 1960. But then, due to the unrest, the religious persecution that they have faced over the years, it has fueled their intention to actually maintain their country and come up with their own national government. This situation has led to Israeli government, particularly the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has acknowledged and recognized Somaliland as an independent country. And there is an imminent arrangement by President Donald Trump to also acknowledge Somaliland as an independent country. Congratulations to the people and the government of Somaliland, and we look forward to having more updates from this front. Before we go again on Somaliland, we heard that there has been backlash by the Qatari government, who have disagreed with the Israeli government for acknowledging Somaliland as an independent country. And this is just the hot spot in the international scene, where countries are now beginning to align according to their acceptability or rejection of terrorism, forming bases for international alliances as well as foreign policy. It is on this note I want to appreciate viewers out there for being part of this program. Until we come your way, we want to call out the Nigerian government for failing the masses being unable to provide peace and security of lives to the Nigerian people to the extent that it takes the US government coming to the aid of Nigeria and providing security as well as flushing out the terrorists from Nigeria. On this note, I want to thank you for your time. Do have a pleasant evening and have a great day ahead of you. Bye-bye. I remain your host, Mr. Ako Christian Oche on People's Parliament. God bless you. Bye-bye.